Welcome to Straight Talk with Susan. I'm Yorktown Councilwoman Susan Siegel, and this is a program about what's happening in Yorktown with a special focus on the town board. However, today we have a special guest who I will introduce a little later, and we're talking about some county issues. Before we begin, I'd just like to remind you about a few things. One, there is still time to register to vote for the November 3rd election, which is a critical election because we will be voting for two members of the town board, a supervisor, a town clerk, and a town justice. You can get registration forms at the town clerk's office, or you can download it from the Westchester Board of Elections website. Go to westchestergov.com and just follow the links to the Board of Elections. Also, if you think you might be out of town on election day, or you physically can't get to the polls, you can vote by absentee ballot, but you have to apply first for a ballot. And again, those forms are available at the town clerk's office or downloading it from the site. I'd also like to remind you that I continue to post meeting summaries of town board and planning board meetings on a separate website that I maintain, Citizens for an Informed Yorktown, and that site is CIYinfo.org. Yes, .org. I'm sorry, I keep sometimes forget between the orgs and the .coms. So those are two reminders. And today, my special guest is County Legislator Michael Kaplowitz, who represents about half or 2/3 of Yorktown in District 4.
That's right, about 2/3.
2/3, okay. Michael, thank you for coming.
Pleasure,
so
thank you.
Today, let's focus on what the county is doing, how we react, how we interface with the county, and what we can look forward to.
Sure, it's great to be here. Also, the county legislative races are on the ballot too.
That's
so
right, and
selfishly
thankfully,
speaking, right now I'm unopposed. So if somebody wants to write their name in, I'm perhaps tied with them. But you know, when you go to a bakery and you buy 12 donuts, what happens? You get a baker's dozen. So I guess every 11 elections you get the 12th one free. So
you've earned it. This is you're running for your
10th time as a county legislator.
10th time.
And the second thing is that the lines in Yorktown are actually very easy to understand in terms of the two districts. There's District 1, currently represented by John Testa, myself currently representing District 4. It's the same exact line of the school district, the Yorktown Lakeland School District.
Oh, okay.
So Lakeland School District is in the north, Yorktown District in the south, and that's how the county legislative lines line up as well. So
that makes it nice and neat.
Yeah, there was some, because people were very, very confused for sure. So anyway, it's great to be here. We have, as you do at the local level, we have a full county agenda that we've been working on, and look forward to chatting with you about some of the issues that you might find interesting.
Let's start with the one that it's going to preoccupy you for the next several weeks, just the way I will be preoccupied with it, and that's budget for 2016. And my sense is it's going to be difficult, both for the town and for the county.
The first thing I'd like to, budget related, is to have people note that when they vote, there's going to be a referendum item.
Didn't know that.
We have a Westchester County referendum, the first time since 2000. Often the state puts on referendums, the towns, but we have a county referendum, and it simply relates to whether the public agrees that the county executive will give the Board of Legislators an additional month to consider the capital budget, so that instead of getting our budget for the capital improvements on November 15th, shall we get it on October 15th? And the operating budget, shall we get that budget instead of November 15th, get that on November 10th? The first one is eminently makes sense. To have the capital budget 30 days earlier gives us a chance to focus on what is about a $200 million budget and improvements, investments.
You need time.
That's right. And because we then would have that time, we would then have more time to devote to the operating budget. Our operating budget is approximately $1.7 billion, and the extra 5 days there would also give us about another business week to be able to bring our commissioners in and give us an extra unit of time to contemplate, for the public to see and all, the operating budget. So we're hoping that people vote yes. The reason, by the way, it's a question for referendum is that our charter says if you diminish the power of one branch, the county executive, and you then give power to another branch, the people have to agree to that. So hopefully people come out, turn the ballot over, and read it, and hopefully you'd support it. It's gotten wide support. There's really nobody that...
There's no opposition.
There's no reason.
To
No,
this.
everybody's in support. County executive agrees. We all agree at that point.
But you have to actually physically turn the ballot.
The referendums are on the back oftentimes.
Oh,
so it'll
okay.
probably be the case here. I'm anticipating. So that would be the case. In terms of the budget, you're right. Now, a little different than the towns. We get our budget, therefore, on November 10th, voluntarily, hopefully by charter. So it's after Election Day. But then we have from November 10th to December 27th. Kind of like our Christmas Hanukkah gift to ourselves and to the people, that we have to vet, we have to discuss, we then have to vote. If there are vetoes, we have a chance to override, and then it has to be signed and put in place for. So it's a very busy time of the year, but obviously we're contemplating what's coming, and we've done, if I might, at the county board level for the last 5 years with Mr. Astorino and the previous 12 years with Mr. Spano, have been very I think diligent in recognizing the two ends of budgeting. The one is keeping taxes and costs as low as possible. Mm-hmm. We all live here. Nobody wants to pay $2 more in tax if you could avoid it. At the same time, balancing it against essential services that people want and need from government. So that people in Westchester want a health department, for example, that inspects public pools, that goes around to restaurants, makes sure that they're safe. They want a district attorney's office that's funded so that criminals are prosecuted. They want a county clerk's office because when the mortgage deed or the legal papers get filed, they actually want it to be filed correctly. They want a jail because unfortunately 1,400 people a day are our average population. There are
really?
people that commit crimes, and you want to make sure people don't break out of the jail. Read what happened in upstate New York. They want a probation department that works. They recognize social services is necessary. Of our $1.7 billion budget, for example, about $550 million is social service related. People that need mental health, people that need housing, people that need food. We need child protective services. We need monthly welfare checks. There are people that fall off the tight wire of life and fall into that safety net, and we don't want to see people splat on the sidewalk, and it could happen to any of us because of sickness or age or mental status and the like. So the county budget is important. If you take a bus, we do the Beeline system. Yeah. If you go to Hilltop Hanover Farm, you want to make sure the farm remains open.
Let's stop right there, because in the past, Hilltop Hanover Farm was, I think, the Astorino was proposing to sell it or to close it down.
Yeah, one of the fears I beat back, and I had a colleague that actually was also looking to mothball it, and I've heard from so many regional and Yorktown people that they love that farm. I assume you do as well.
Yeah, and it's not just for Yorktown people. It is a draw for the entire county to come up and see a working farm.
It's regional and it's countywide, that's right. There's a friends group that's done a phenomenal job. No, I've, with Andy Spano, worked hard to first buy it, to continue to make sure it's funded. Mr. Astorino, to his credit, pushed the Friends Group hard to create this public-private partnership so that the full dollar wasn't on the county dole. That's been the case. They're doing more and more. I will resist everything I can, and Mr. Tester, I'm sure, will support me in trying to make sure that we don't sell the farm, we don't mothball that farm. Yeah. So the budget's coming up. The big challenge that we have this year that we've never had, that in the past we've been able to balance well taxes. In fact, 5 years running, we have not increased county taxes, and yet we've continued to augment essential services. We put money into eviction prevention. We've put money into domestic violence prevention programs. We put a lot of money into child care because there are people that want to go to work but need that subsidy to be able to do that. This year, for the first time, the nexus is fraying, and it's getting difficult because our sales tax numbers for this year and projected into next year have been diminished, and they've been diminished greatly because of, ironically, lower gasoline prices. About 100%, 95 to 100% of our diminution, and we're down about 25 million at the county level, which would impact the municipalities.
Yorktown, because I know Yorktown did better than expected or budgeted in 14, so for the 15 budget, we increased it, I think, by $500,000. Now, if that's going to come in low, we're going to have a hole in our 15 budget, and this should impact what we project for the 16 budget.
It creates two problems. It lowers the base that you wind up with, and then it also lowers the projected increase on top of that base, so it has a double problem. By the way, if you go just a few miles north to Putnam County collects its sales tax and does not share with the school districts. Putnam County collects its sales tax and does not share with its municipalities. We are one of the few counties in the state that shares a portion of a sales tax with our local communities. Why? Because we're the same taxpayer.
Well, I thank you for that.
Well, it's the right thing to do, and
Yeah.
we're happy to do it.
Yeah.
It's not generosity,
Yeah.
but as much as just good government.
Let me stop you here, because this is a confusion that I often hear. People think that if I buy a car in Yorktown or in any Yorktown store, that I get the sales tax that's generated here. I know that's wrong. The sales tax, the county share, goes to the county. The New York State gets its share. The county gets 4 3/4. I don't remember what
total
3 and
sale-
3 3/4. I think. No.
Close.
What?
And it's very confusing.
Yeah.
The 7 3/8 is the sales tax. 3/8 goes to the MTA.
Oh, that's right. I think
Of the 7, 4 goes to the state, 3 goes into a bucket.
Yeah.
No matter where you buy that, have that sales tax, as long as it's not in the 4 cities, which has its own piece, the rest of that money goes into a bucket, a county bucket. A portion of the county bucket is kept by the county. A portion of the county bucket is shared with the municipalities, school districts, and towns.
Based on what kind of formula?
The formula. So of the 3, the county probably keeps, I don't remember exactly the numbers. I'm going to say roughly 2/3, 1/3. So I'm going to say roughly 2% or so goes to the county, and about 1% goes to the schools and the towns. I might be wrong on that exact percentage, but that's roughly the way that works.
And is that based on the school population or municipal
Well,
population?
the apportionment is based on per capita. It's based
Per
on
capita.
head.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's not based on ad valorem or real estate values. No, that's based on the per capita. So it's just based on the size. So Yorktown will get twice as much as Somers because there's twice as many people. And that's only fair because it's done on a per person basis. And that's shared then among the non-4 municipalities. The rest of the 39 municipalities in the county would then share that piece, and the county gets its piece. But again, the important point is that we do share that. So if somebody buys a big purchase, the sales tax it always inures back to them, some through their county budget, some through their school budget, some through their town budget. The point being that we're down a lot this year. And the reason we're down is because the good news is that the price of gasoline is not $3.50, it's not $3, you can get it for fill in the blank. Because of that, our sales tax floats with the price. It's not a set per gallonage price.
Right.
And so we've been getting less. And we then have a hole in your budget, and we have a hole in our budget, and the question is then what are you going to do with that? And that creates a problem.
That's so we will both be working on it.
That's correct.
Dealing with it, because the expenses always seem to increase. The demand for services and programs is constantly increasing, and there are difficult choices to be made.
That there are.
You just can't do it all. You can't satisfy everyone. You've grappled with that. And,
18 times.
Yeah, I haven't had as many times, but I know I will be grappling with that. Tell me something about another issue that kind of affects Yorktown, but not directly and indirectly, and that's the affordable housing settlement. Yorktown has a very good record for providing affordable housing going way back, I think, into the 1960s. But we are involved as one of the 31 named municipalities in this anti-discrimination suit. And I'm reading that the county may be subject to some fines. So what's happening?
Sure. There have been 2 pieces of it. One, we have had a problem, but working with our congressional delegation and the state, we've been able to solve, which deals with the community development block grant monies that Yorktown has enjoyed. Money coming in, that's our money that we send down to Washington, that then comes back up through Housing and Urban Development, HUD, that used to flow through the county back to various municipalities. And Yorktown has always done a very good job of tapping into those dollars.
Our improvements,
senior centers and all the rest. Unfortunately, the county executive, in his fight with HUD, in his case, he would say, I voluntarily gave up those dollars, and he lost us 4 years of HUD money, which is about $22 million. The county board, most of us felt that we wanted to recapture those dollars, that we enjoyed those dollars, and they frankly are money, our dollars. And so now it's going to flow in 2015 and beyond through the state of New York. So that's been solved. We're going to get those dollars back. And I know the good people in Yorktown are working on and continue to urge them to work with the state to make application to get those dollars.
And our planning director, John Tegeter, has advised the board that the application process is now opening up. He's first checking the eligibility because it's always based on census tract income. So he's double checking.
Low and moderate income, for example, on census tract,
And that's why it's always been limited to certain portions of Yorktown. And if we do qualify, I think the two projects he was going to bring to the board were the sidewalks along Veterans Road, where people park, along the field, and there are no sidewalks there. It would be a fantastic improvement. And also upgrading the sidewalks on Veterans Road by Downing Drive. So those are the two.
Which have a safety issue, a convenience, and also have an economic, because people are able to walk back and forth. So that's great. The second piece, the bigger piece, is the issue of the 2009 housing settlement that under the previous county executive, he was found to have failed on behalf of the county to have studied race as a potential impediment to housing. By failing to study race as one of the potential impediments. Impediments, things of transportation, environmental, lack of open space, economics, and the like. Because of that, and that was one of the requirements that he was supposed to have studied, he certified that he did, in return for the federal dollars. There was a lawsuit, and the county lost that lawsuit. We were forced to settle. We had a choice of continuing on through the circuit and the Supreme Court. My guess is we would have wasted a lot more money with lawyers. They would have gotten rich. We probably still would have lost ultimately. So we settled, and we settled on a $51.6 million investment in 750 units of housing. We at the county believe that we're on track for that. And the good news is for 2015, the year that we're in, we need to be at 600 units. We had just last week our planner in on housing, and she sees us at least at 601. So we should be okay. Right?
And that includes the controversial.
Well, that was last year's 14. That would include the 28 units there.
Okay.
And the question there is the federal government isn't sure that we should count the 28 for last year. We believe we should, because we did everything we needed to have to do by the end of the year. It was work that Newcastle still had to do, but we authorized the funding. There wasn't anything more we could have done. So that's why we think we have a pretty good case there. So there were three things that the settlement said we had to do. One is we had to build the 750 units. We're on track. Two was that the county executive had to promote a piece of legislation called source of income. If people have a Section 8 voucher and they come up to a landlord, you would not be able to discriminate against them based on that source of income. He did not promote it. He fought it. He took it to the U.S. Circuit Court, lost, and ultimately we passed that legislation. So that was done. The third piece, which still remains outstanding, is what's called the analysis of impediments. It's a document, very thick, that has to be filed by our planning department. The county executive claims that he keeps 8 times sent it down, 8 times has been turned down. I kind of have said if it's homework and it's due and the teacher keeps returning it saying it's incomplete, you can continue to persist that you're right, but at some level the teacher is the teacher and says you might want to do it. And the agreement specifically says this analysis of impediments under paragraph 32 must be acceptable to HUD. So the document says it has to be acceptable to HUD. We've been working, the Board of Legislators, with the monitor that came in through this 2009 housing settlement. While we're fighting over this, he has very quietly been working with the various towns to get them to voluntarily make any modifications to their zoning. You correctly stated earlier that Yorktown has been one of the good poster children in the positive way. You were both noted in a report early on by the monitor that Yorktown's done very good work, and you've created a good number of units. And by the way, the town hasn't fallen down. Seniors have housing. There's some fair affordable housing out there. It actually helps the community because people of all earned income. And this is not, by the way, this is not low-income housing. This is earned income housing. This is people have to work. In fact, a family of 4 could go as high as about $84,000
and qualify for
mortgage, for this housing.
Everything. So it's not low-income.
These are neighbors who go to who their kids go to our schools, and
it's our teachers. It's our
firefighters.
Municipal employees. Volunteer firemen,
yes.
That's been a key issue.
Which saves you having to put in then a paid fire department.
Yeah.
So it's just right for a community. And so Yorktown, I think, has done a very good job, and objectively speaking, has done a good job of that. At the county level then, we still have work to do on the units. We have to fight that current Department of Justice monitor belief that we didn't come in correctly under 2014. We don't want to lose that one because that's fines on a monthly basis. And third, we have to do this analysis. The good news has been that at the end of this, we're going to build $51.6 million of housing, and there are going to be people living in those houses. There are refrigerators delivered to those houses. There are local barbers and banks and people that are going to benefit from people living in those houses. People live in those houses, send their kids to the school. They are then involved and invested in those communities. It's not been a bad thing. It's actually been a non-sky is falling kind of thing, but we got to work it through. So Yorktown, congratulations. To the rest of the county, we have some work to do, and we'll continue to monitor it and make sure it gets done.
Good, yeah, well, just keep us posted.
Yep.
We really have very little land left for housing, and well, now with the sewer moratorium, but even that, very little, available land, but we have hundreds of units of reasonably priced rental.
There are communities that have not done their share also, so while there's no quota on a per municipality basis, Yorktown, by all accounts, has done a very fair share there.
Okay. Keep my fingers crossed that we can get some of that CDBG money and get our sidewalks done. What else is doing on the county level that might be of interest to us North County residents? We kind of have a dividing line between the county.
Sure. One that I've worked on for the 18 years that I've been there is protecting a pledge that I and we have made to Yorktown and to 4 other communities that there will be a pot of money, an East of Hudson pot of money, available to these communities. In 1997, before I was elected, there was an agreement made between 12 watershed communities, the County of Westchester, the city's Department of Environmental Protection, the water people, and interested groups like Riverkeeper and environmental groups, that there would be certain monies available and certain requirements to make sure that the local towns would be good stewards over New York City's drinking water. About 55,000 people a day drink Croton water that comes out of Yorktown. There are millions of people that drink the Catskill, Delaware, and Croton water in New York City. And when we travel to the city, we work in the city, we go to a restaurant in the city, you don't know what water you're drinking. water, obviously, water everywhere. So we received $38 million, the county did, on behalf of the communities. It had grown with interest, and we then, a number of years ago, with the towns, the 12 towns, making a decision, they created 5 buckets of $10 million for Yorktown, Somers, Newcastle, Bedford, and North Salem. And then the other monies would be sent on watershed projects. There was some good neighborly monies that went out to Yorktown and the like. But the big unit, the money's still there. We're holding it. We want to get rid of that money.
And I want to spend it.
My urge continues to be to the 5 towns, please come and get your money. Now, North Salem did. North Salem and Peach Lake built a sewage treatment plant that measurably helped the quality of life for those people. And it's being run very well. Recently, Bedford came for $3.5 million of their $10 million allocation. I was able to, on the record, once again remind, because I'm one of these senior citizens now, and have our planning commissioner come up to seal it, if you will, that each of the 4 remaining communities have their $10 million allocation. It's called a pledge. It's not in the law, but it is in the spirit, and it's sitting in the trustee account waiting for. And so my urge has been for 18 years to Yorktown, please come and get that money and invest that money, and that you, Yorktown, the council and the supervisor and all, know your town best. That in the county, while I anecdotally and I'm around all the time, I'm not a local community leader in terms of an elected official at the Yorktown municipal level. And so my job has been to make sure the money remains there, and that when you come up with the projects that you think are the reasonable ones, that the money be available for you. And so I would urge you to collectively, please come down and get your money.
I am working hard and fast on that. I have been waiting years since we had the whole sewer and diversion brouhaha.
Yes.
And now that, I don't know if you know, but the DEC is imminently going to issue us a new speedies permit for our sewage treatment plant. And under the parameters of the permit, we will be able to have what we call sewer extensions. So there are many streets in the Halleck's Mill district that are unsewered. Sunrise, Hickory, Hemlock, Birch, portions of Ridge, Quinlan, Colonial, and then small little pockets spread throughout. It's kind of a crazy quilt who's unsewered. And these people have been waiting over 27 years to be able to get sewered. And now that the new permit will enable that, the next question is, well, how much will it cost me? And I keep saying, well, we have this $10 million that Mike Kaplowitz and his colleagues are holding for us,
right.
But we have to know how many want to be sewered, what streets, what the cost will be, and then the $10 million can be used to lower the cost. Then we divide it by the number of homes. So it's a chicken and the egg situation. How will we allocate? How much will sewers cost depends on how we allocate the $10 million. And how we allocate that will depend on how many people then want to be sewered.
Right.
And I have been asking, since we got the good news about the DEC permit, I've been asking the supervisor to begin this discussion. I don't know why, but he's saying it's premature. I don't understand why it's premature, because the permit is about to be issued. And this is a discussion that will take a lot of time because it's kind of very complicated. We obviously have to go back to hundreds and hundreds of homeowners to see if they're interested in being sewered, at what cost. And we don't know the cost until we start talking east of Hudson. So please make sure that money stays there, because Yorktown has plans to use it.
It is there. It's secure. But again, I would just urge you to come as soon as you can. Credit to all who are working on that issue. You've been on it for a long time. The supervisor, the town board, Linda Cooper, Don Peters. It's been an ongoing.
A long time.
It's been a long fight, and the money is there. But I am concerned that if Yorktown gets to the end of that line, that there might be more pressures to start using that money in other areas. So I would urge you to collectively to do what you can with that. So that's certainly a big issue. Playland is a big issue. We had our best year in many years. Had a great season. Over 500,000 people came to Playland, up from the 400,000 level. So we're up a good solid 10, 15, 20% in terms of attendance. We worked hard to, along with the county executive, to come up with a new operator, and hopefully for the next year, people will see some improvements and all at Playland, and that should be something fun. You don't go to Indian Point for an amusement park. That's something else, a little Freudian and a little different conversation. But Playland. So a lot of other issues for sure, but I appreciate having a chance to hit some of the highlights in the county.
Is anything on tap for any improvements or upgrades to the Peekskill, the sewage treatment plant at Peekskill, because the northern part of Yorktown is in that sewer district?
Yeah. There are always pressures to just stay constant. The bigger pressures, though, the good news for the district then is that most of the pressures are down on the Long Island Sound area in terms of nitrogen discharge from the 4 sewage treatment plants out on Long Island Sound. The Hudson River is a much bigger body of water in terms of its flow, and the plants are newer. So the Peekskill plant has a better operation than some of the older plants do. But there's always capital that's going on there. We want to be good neighbors, make sure that the odors are under control. Frankly, have except for Yonkers, where there's some alleged odor issues down there, and even there the complaints are down significantly. We've generally been good neighbors to our local communities. Peekskill plant, again, is being run well. The district is run well. It's still under capacity, so that's good. And no, we really haven't had significant issues there. But it is an investment, but people have the opportunity to have good, in this case, sewage treatment.
Okay. I'm getting a warning from our cameraman that time is running out, so just let me repeat a few phone numbers and contact information. Mike, why don't you give us your contact
Sure. Best way to reach
information?
me would be westchesterlegislators.com. And through westchesterlegislators.com, you can reach myself or John Testa, and or any other legislator for that matter.
Okay. And my email is susan@yorktownny.org, and my phone number at Town Hall is 914-962-5722, extension 421. And let me remind you again, the importance of voting on November 3rd. Unbelievable. Turnout is the lowest when we have a local election, and this year is strictly local and county. But these are the 2 levels of government that have the most impact on our quality of life, on protecting our property values, and on our taxes, which we know in Westchester are high. So I urge you to please register to vote, get an absentee ballot, and come out to vote on November 3rd. And probably if I'm going to be taping more programs before November 3rd, I will repeat that message, because voting is so critical for us. And again, Mike, you want to just give your phone number again?
Sure. The phone number would be 995-2848. 995-2848 is a direct line. but westchesterlegislators.com is a great way to reach us.
Okay. Thank you so very much for coming.
Thank you,
Okay, and for
Councilwoman.
giving us an update.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.